Hello, everybody. Welcome along to SportsBet TV Racing. This is Paul Alster with you, and I'm back with a look ahead to the second day of the brilliant Cheltenham Festival, which will be on Wednesday, the 16th of March. Such an exciting week of brilliant racing. This bulletin is being recorded Monday evening, a long time ahead of the actual races themselves. So the odds that I'm going to be suggesting for the horses that I fancy are subject to quite a bit of change. But if you get this bulletin early, who knows, you may be able to get on a price that isn't there on the day. So we have no clue, of course, about what happened to the selections on day one, because we still haven't reached Tuesday here in Sportsbet land. So I'm going to move on without being able to refer to what has happened on day one with my day two selections. If you happen to be new and you're just discovering me for the first time, well, I'm a commentator, journalist, broadcaster, racehorse breeder and owner as well, betting correspondent, and a pretty successful tipster as well. For those that have followed me on a regular basis, I focus on big odds horses. I'm not normally interested in anything a short price. Normally, nothing less than an each way price will do for me. So if you want a bit of that, press a subscribe button below this screen and you'll be able to hear what I have to say with all my bulletins going forward for this festival, regular weekends and other big festivals throughout the year, where we've shown consistently a very good profit over seasons and calendar years. Right, 4 races this time take my interest. I'm hoping that the ground is not going to deteriorate and that the good to soft that is suggested is going to be pretty much the order of the day. And my first race of interest on Wednesday is the 2:10, the second race. The Brown Advisory Novice Chase is over 3 miles. It's the old RSA Chase, or as oldies like me remember it, the Sun Alliance Chase. 11 runners, and it's a good renewal. And we've got a rematch between Brave Man's Game and Ahoy Senor, who were first and second in the Cato Star Novices Chase at the Christmas meeting at Kempton. 2 tremendous horses. Brave Man's Game is a real potential star. So too is Ahoy Senor for Lucinda Russell, who I don't think was suited by Kempton. I could see him getting a lot closer to Brave Man's Game, this time going left-handed. Now, Venetia Williams has got L'Empresse, who's been hugely progressive this season. He's really been a very, very exciting prospect. He's got to go half a mile further here, but he wasn't stopping last time out over the extended 2.5 miles. But I think he just has that little bit to prove. 3 under 5 is an interesting runner. He's on a 5-timer and has won 2 grade 2s over 3 miles. So I don't think his stamina is in question. It's whether he has the requisite class to win a race like this. Now, most of the market principles in this race are from Britain, which is very unusual at Cheltenham in recent times. Capadonna, though, represents Willie Mullins and is the shortest of the Irish raiders at 8-1. He was second to Bob Ollinger at Punchestown in January and then unseated his rider last month at the Dublin Festival. But he's a horse who's held in some regard and is owned by the great J.P. McManus. Now, Jigginstown House Stud, that's the racing organisation owned by Michael O'Leary of Ryanair fame. They've got a few interesting runners in this race, and Fury Road, Beacon Edge and Farouk Dalen. And I'm going to just suggest to you here that of the 3, Beacon Edge is the most interesting, and he's my selection. Beacon Edge is trained by Noel Mead, and it's the man of Sean Flanagan, a combination who've done us 1 or 2 huge favours on this service over recent years. And Beacon Edge is a horse I've always liked. Now, cast your mind back to the Stayers Hurdle last year, and as they turned in towards the home straight, Flooring Porter was leading, but he was being closed down by Beacon Edge, who got within about 1.5 lengths of him, but then just couldn't stay with him. Eventually, he just got caught for 3rd place by the staying on great old-timer Paisley Park. But that was a huge run from Beacon Edge. You couldn't say he didn't stay because he had a lot of good 3-milers behind him. He just wasn't quite good enough there over Timber. Now, he switched to fences at the start of this season. He's had 4 runs. He was second on his first run. That was at Down Royal in October. And then he beat a very smart horse called Gabi Nako in a grade 1 novice chase over 2.5 miles at Fairyhouse in November. Gabinaco, really highly regarded Gavin Cromwell horse. He fell very frustratingly early on in the Grade 1 Dublin Festival Novices chase in February. And then last time out, he failed by just 3/4 of a length to beat Farouk Dalen at Navan over 3 miles. Now, that was in heavy ground. Now, if it hadn't been heavy, it had been a decent surface. I'm very much convinced Beacon Edge would have won. But take into account as well, he was beaten less than a length, and he gave Farouk Dalen £7. And now they meet here on level weight. So he's clearly the pick on revised terms and on better ground. So I think he has a lot going for him, Beacon Edge. I'm hoping that they'll be able to hold him up off the pace. He's a decent hold-up horse. And with possibly Brave Man's Game and a Hoy Senor taking each other on, maybe one or two others, this race could be set up for a closer. I'm hoping that closer is going to be Beacon Edge. And at the time of this recording, on Monday evening, he's 18-1 each way, best price with Bedfred, and that's for 4 places. So that's my recommendation. Remember to check out the markets closely. The odds are moving all the time, in and out, and the place fractions change and the number of places. So have a really good look and check your odds comparison site. But for now, Beacon Edge in the 210 at Cheltenham on Wednesday, 18-1 each way is my first selection. And then the race after that on Wednesday is the 250, the Coral Cup Handicap Hurdle, a cavalry charge, 26 runners. Now, I don't know if picking me, I'm not one that goes in for your short price odds on favourites in 7-8 runner fields. 26 runner, 2 mile 5 furlong handicap. They go lickety split, helter-skelter all the way. And there's been a few surprises in this race over the last 3 years with winners at 33-1, 28-1 and 20-1. That's music to my ears. And the moment, they're betting 8-1 the field. So it is really wide open. And if you're with me on Thursday last week for my Cheltenham Live preview, which had a lot of people joining us, I told you I would back a horse called Camprond, whether he ran in the Coral Cup or the Martin Pipe. Well, he's going to run in the Coral Cup, and he's my first of 2 selections in this race. Camprond is trained by Philip Hobbs down at Minehead and is the mount of Aidan Coleman. Now, this horse made a great start to the season. He won the Grade 2 Persian War hurdle over 2.5 miles at Chepstow in October. And then he beat the Irish horse Mars Harper, who reopposes £3 better, by 4.5 lengths at Cheltenham 2 weeks later. So we know he handles the track, and he's a horse who's got a lot of ability. Now, they dropped him back to 2 miles after that, and he stayed on really well in the Greatwood hurdle back at Cheltenham. That was won by West Cork, and in which Adagio, who's due to run in the champion hurdle on Tuesday, was a very good second. Camprond was really finishing to some effect, but 2 miles is a bit sharp for him. This is his trip. 2-4, 2-5, stiff finish, and he's owned by JP McManus. And when I made my notes about an hour or so ago, he was 11-1 each way with a few firms. I just had a look before coming on. It's gone. And he's 9-1 best price across the board. So I think there's some proper serious money coming in for this horse, Camprond. And I think they're anticipating a very, very big run from him in the Coral Cup. Now, because it's such a big race and so much can go wrong with horses getting blocked or something falling in front of them or just, having an off day like any of us can, I want to just give you another one, because in this race, Gordon Elliott runs 7. So he's really setting his stall out. But Willie Mullins has only got 2. And he relies on Ganapathy, who's not run for 320 days and was a faller in a Grade 1 last time we saw it at the final flight when still with a chance. And it could be a horse that is a real contender, Ganapathy. But I do like his other runner, which is called Maze Runner. Willie trains this one. And I haven't written down the name of the jockey. I'm trying to remember who's on it. I think it might be Sean O'Keefe. Anyway, Maze Runner is a horse that I think is of some interest. Now, he's a horse who has won in the big handicap fields in the past. Indeed, just over a year ago, he popped up at 40-1 when he won a big 3 mile handicap hurdle at the 2021 Dublin Festival. Now, he's also quite useful on the flat as a stayer. He finished third in the Irish Seeyouatmidnight in October, and then he finished a very good fourth in the Irish November handicap, which, with the greatest of respect, Ireland being Ireland, their November handicap was run in October. Go figure. Anyway, he's running a few hot handicap hurdles after that when he switched to timber this season at Navan and Leopardstown, finished in mid-division. But then he showed signs that he's coming back to his peak when 6th of 24 last time out. That was at Leopardstown in February at the Dublin Festival. And that was a race that should have put him spot on. Now, this drop back to a stiff 2 miles, 5 furlongs, I think will suit this horse. And the strong gallop and a big field is what he likes as well. So Maze Runner is my second selection in the Coral Cup. And at the time of this recording, he's available at 33 to 1 each way. And that's for 7 places with Paddy Power and with Betfair Sportsbook. So check him out. Maybe by the time you see this, he might have even gone bigger. But at the time I'm seeing it, Maze Runner 33 to 1 each way for 7 places, alongside Campron 9 to 1 each way for 6 places with Coral, Ladbrokes and Bet Victor. So that's race number 2 for me at Cheltenham on Wednesday. Moving on to the feature race on Wednesday, which is the Champion Chase. I love this race. There really are few greater sights in racing than seeing high-class 2-mile chasers going around Cheltenham, taking each other on. And this year's renewal is an absolute cracker. We've had great races in recent years with the likes of Sprinter Sacra, of course, and Altior and so many other terrific horses. But this year, I think, is a particularly exciting renewal. First of all, we've got 2 previous winners, and they're the 2 outsiders of the field, Politologue and Put the Kettle On, last year's winner. They're both better here than anywhere else, but they do have something to find on what they've done this season. But you wouldn't rule out them sparking back to life with the crowd and the Cheltenham Hill to greet them. Now, all the talk, of course, is about what we're hoping could be a real head-to-head renewal between Shishkin and Energemeni, the British horse against the Irish horse, following their superb clash in that Clarence House chase at Ascot in January, where it was in the balance right until the last sort of 75 yards to go when Shishkin just forged ahead of Energemeni. You certainly wouldn't say with any certainty the result will be the same between those two. Shishkin's unbeaten in 7 races over fences, including a devastating win in the Arkle, and Energemeni 5 from 6 over fences this year. I think it's just going to be great to see those two, but it is not a 2-horse race. Chacun Pour Soi, of course, was odds on to win this race last year. He only finished 3rd behind Put the Kettle On, and then he ran a poor race in the Tingle Creek earlier this season, and that suggested to me and quite a lot of other people that travelling over, those are the only 2 times I think he's left Ireland, might not be ideal for him. Willie Mullins insists that isn't the case, but I couldn't back him with any confidence, even though he was a good winner last time out. Now, as I stated last Thursday on the SportsBet Live YouTube show, the horse for me in this race is Nube Negra. Nube Negra is trained by Dan Skelton, and his brother Harry Skelton takes the ride. And this horse stands out to me as an each-way punter, especially if the ground stays good to soft, or hopefully could even dry out a bit more for him. He was an unlucky second, I thought, in this race last year, just beaten half a length. He, of course, split Put the Kettle On and Chacun Pour Soi. He was finishing so fast. Already this season, first time out, fresh, he slammed Politologue by 6 lengths in a Grade 2, the Schlur Chase at Cheltenham. And that was on good ground. And then he ran a poor race, really, at his next start in the Tingle Creek in December. That wasn't the real Nube Negra. Maybe the race came too soon after Cheltenham. So the fact that he's been put away by Dan Skelton for a 3.5-month break is a big plus, because this horse is at his best when he's fresh. He'll be raring to go. He loves the track. The ground, if it's good to soft, will be absolutely ideal. And the faster they go up front, the better for this horse, because he'll settle off the pace, get into a rhythm. And then if they run themselves to a standstill by taking each other on, the horse that may pick up the pieces could be Nube Negra. I'm certainly hoping so, because he's got a devastating turn of foot, this horse, from off a strong pace. And he's offered at 12-1 each way for the 1, 2, 3 at the time of this recording. And he's my choice for the Champion Chase to spring a surprise and beat the big two. Whatever happens, I hope it's going to be a brilliant race. I think it will be. It could be the race of the week, the Champion Chase at Cheltenham on Wednesday at 3:30. And then on to my final selection. And this is the 450 race at Cheltenham on Wednesday. The Grand Annual Handicap Chase is over 2 miles. Another lickety-split race. 20 runners charging over the fences this time. And they're betting 7-1 the field. Buddy Rich, named after the greatest jazz drummer of all time, is a horse that also happens to be trained by Gordon Elliott, and he's the early favourite at 7-1. He's not forced to go off favourite, because between the time of this recording Monday evening and the race itself at 4:50 on Wednesday, a lot could happen as regards the ground, trainer form, and of course gambles going on various horses, which is sure to happen in a hot handicap like this. He's got a solid chance, but I wouldn't be rushing to back Buddy Rich. Now, Colin Tizard has a good hand in this race. He's got Amarillo Sky, who was impressive last time out when winning by 10 lengths at Newbury, and I think an £8 rise is pretty fair. He's also got Elixir du Nuts, which one of the correspondents that was joining us on the SportsBet Live and subsequently has pointed out with a chance. So I had a good look at this horse, and he's a novice chaser in against experienced chasers. So it's interesting that Colin Tizard is trying him out against very experienced, tough horses. He won very nicely at Kempton last time out and is off 1-4-3 here. So he could be a dark horse. Now, talking of dark horses, Gordon Elliott has one called Andy Dufresne, of course, named after the great character in The Shawshank Redemption, one of the best movies of modern times, in my humble opinion. Now, he's a class act, is this horse, Andy Dufresne, and he's also good when he's fresh. He's had 130 days off, and he could be very dangerous, especially if there's money for him, because he's owned by J.P. McManus. Last year, Sky Pirate won this race for John Joe O'Neill. He's only £4 higher now, but he hasn't been in the same form this year, although he's been competing at a higher level. So back in a handicap after running in a Grade 2 last time out, he does have it to do, but he's not a total no-hoper by any means. Now, last Thursday, I also highlighted a horse who I thought would run really well in this race, and I'm sticking with him. And that horse is the Gary Moore-trained Editor du Gite, who's the mount of Gary's son, Joshua Moore. And this is a horse who's been in superb form this season and towards the end of last. He's won 4 of his last 5 races. He's very, very progressive. He's gone up a total of £28, 2 stone improvement, and that is a lot. But the latest of his 2 Cheltenham wins this season was, for me, his most impressive. I really thought he was impressive when he stayed on again after the last to pull away. He's a horse who needs decent ground. Good to soft is absolutely ideal. If it were to go soft, if there were to be a big rain burst, then I would be a little bit concerned. But if it strays good to soft or better, Editor du Gite is going to run really well. I have a feeling that this horse could easily make it into a top graded Grade 2 or even Grade 1 chaser next season. You could see him running in the Champion Chase next year if he continues to improve. Now, also a lot of interest is the fact that trainer Gary Moore, who's having a stellar season, he's won with 8 of his last 35 runners, and that's a strike rate of 23%, which is very good indeed. I also want to point out a stat in this race as well, because for a really competitive handicap, for me, it's very significant that 6 of the last 8 winners have carried 11 stone 2 pounds or more. In other words, those horses right towards the top of the weights, which suggests that the classy horses are the ones to keep an eye on. And it's encouraging that Editor du Gite has 11 stone 9. So he's right up there amongst that small select group who are above the 11 stone 2 mark. At the time of this recording, Monday evening, Editor de Gite is 14-1 each way for 6 places with Sky Bet. He's also offered at 14-1 for 5 places each way with Coral. The rest are 12, 11, or even 10-1. So 14-1, I think, is a good sporting bet for Editor de Gite to make it 5 from his last 6 races as wins, and a horse I very, very much like. He may, if the ground stays sound, he may prove to be one of my most serious bets of the meeting. So that's it. Day 2 at Cheltenham, 4 races, 5 selections. Let's hope they run well. Let's hope our day 1 selections have gone well on Tuesday. Whatever happens, we'll have 2 more days to come. We'll have bulletins for each one of those. And I wish you the best of luck, whether you go with me or you go with your own selections. Thanks very much for joining me. If you haven't already done so, press the subscribe button, then you won't miss a thing. I'll speak to you next time. More coming up with my Race 3 bulletin coming up ahead of Thursday's action. Bye-bye for now.